Let's head to the men's 10,000 metres T12 event. This is for athletes with different levels of visual impairment. We're able to start a little in front of those who are starting in the centre of the track. The guides, of course, lined up with their respective athletes, clearly labelled, as they adjust their starting positions ever so slightly. All runners with visual impairment, and they're finally away. Many of these runners will just try and find a comfortable stride as quickly as possible, gauge what the rest of the field is doing. Importantly though, don't want to let any one runner get too much of a lead from the start as the outside lane runners cross in to join with the main pack. Jostle for position and to try and find a rhythm. They round a bend and come onto the main straight of the bird's nest. Looking reasonably comfortable at this stage. Athlete number 1623, Ali El Hadi. Is fronting the field at the early stage. So, very healthy looking crowd there this evening. Again, the attendances right across the venues at the Beijing 2008 Paralympic Games have been phenomenal. Many of our sports experts commenting that a lot of Paralympians wouldn't have performed in front of such large crowds before. But the atmosphere at these venues can be just electric, and the Bird's Nest, I was there last night to watch the evening session of the athletics, was absolutely brilliant. And I'll tell you what, Beijing at this time of year in autumn is beautiful. Temperatures in the mid to high 20s, evenings just a little cool, often a bit of breeze kicks up, making it perfect conditions for these runners. So Adair Santos from Brazil in the front end of this field. He was, of course, the fastest qualifier for, well, season best time rather, posted before this event. Aurelio Santos, another Brazilian runner. Obviously feeling very strong. He's happy to go out by himself, try and build a slight advantage over the rest of the field. So the first kilometre, 3 minutes 19 roughly. We're likely to see these athletes pick up the pace a little in the latter part of this 10,000 metres. These athletes, they'll have to make a choice. They don't want to let the Brazilian get too far in front of them, otherwise they're relying too heavily on him tiring, and if he's having a great day he may not tire and be able to keep up this pace. So they're just going to be making their job that much harder in the latter stages, the 1200 metre mark. 22 laps of the Bird's Nest remaining. The field is starting to spread out just a little. No one making any move to chase down Santos at this stage. So we've had a runner pull out there. So Santos, number 1180 from Brazil. It's a bit of a lead over this field, over in the early part of this race. Running without a guide. The rest of the pack sticking very closely together. So Santos, obviously in his race plan to go out hard and see if the others will keep up with him, but has he got the stamina to maintain this lead over the latter stages of the race? Well, that's the gamble you take at a big event like this. 21 laps to go, so it's important not to expend all your energy in the first stages of the race, particularly because it doesn't look as though he's building his lead. He's maintaining about 10 or 15 metres on the rest of the field. They're all quite comfortably sticking together in a pack. So it is the Brazilian runners, 1 and 2. Plenty of action going on around the bird's nest at the moment while this 10,000 metres proceeds. We can hear the cheers for the athletes in the discus, and it looks as though Santos is just about to be swallowed up by the pack after having an early lead. His teammate, fellow Brazilian, Alex Mendonça, and Odair Santos running next to him at the moment. 20 laps to go. Last kilometre was 3 minutes 19 on the dot. Looks as though a few runners are dropping off that main pack now, but Santos has well and truly been swallowed up into the main field of athletes as well. And it's now his teammate, Santos, who's taken the lead, but he's by no means pressing on to run out in front of the main pack. He's quite comfortably just sitting in the middle, as one of the runners opts to grab a drink from the drink station on the straight. Linas Balsis from Lithuania up there at the front in the leaders of this race. And he's taking a wide berth and basically running around the side of Santos, jostling for the front position. Just behind we have Henry Kiprono Kirwa from Kenya, also jostling with the leaders of this pack. So now we see the main pack splitting basically into two distinct groups. About 10 runners or so in the front group with their guides, some with guides, some without. So 16 competitors in total. It looks as though one may have pulled out at this stage of the race. But this pace of this 10,000 metre race has definitely stepped up. So we've got about 7 competitors, and 2 of those with guides in the front pack. Some of the runners in the second pack struggling to latch onto that first pack and just hold on. Santos from Brazil refusing to give up. He's just taken a very wide berth. Looks as though he's pulling out with 18 laps to go, so unclear what the story is there. It's number 1777. Luis Herrera from Mexico was on our screen just then. So Aurelio Santos from Brazil, who was leading earlier in this race, has pulled out. It's unclear exactly what's happened. Doesn't look as though he's injured. May have been unwell. So that last kilometre, 3:13.19, so a good 6 seconds faster than the previous kilometre. So it shows you they have stepped up the pace, not dramatically, but it will be, you'll probably see a gradual increase in the speed till eventually they'll be lapping under the 3-minute mark for 1 kilometre, one would expect. Beautiful camera angle of the bird's nest. It really is magical there in the evenings, particularly with the conditions just so perfect for these runners. Here we have another runner who looks as though he's pulling out. That's Linas Balisis from Lithuania. And number 1432, Manuel Garnica from Spain. He has also pulled out. So that's 3 runners, actually 4. I believe there was another runner earlier on, pulled out after only a handful of laps. So Odair Santos from Brazil. He's continuing to run strongly at the front of the field, and it's his teammate Aurelio Santos, also from Brazil, who's pulled out of this race. But Odair Santos looking very comfortable at the front of the field. And now it looks as though a big spread in the field. It's really 4 or 5 contenders in the front pack, staying on the pace. The Kenyan runner, Henry Kiprono Kirwa, well, we know Kenyan runners are particularly strong. Need to keep an eye on him throughout the latter stages of this race. We're still not at the halfway mark yet though, so it's early days. Still a reasonably warm evening, but with a light breeze for these athletes. Elkin Cerna is in that leading group. So only one of these runners in the front pack is running with a guide. 15 laps to go, so that kilometre slightly slower, 3 minutes 12.66 seconds, so about 6 seconds slower than the last one. On our screen, that's Luis Herrera from Mexico. He's fallen off the pace, but still looks as though he's running reasonably comfortably. So at this stage of the race, you can never rule someone out. They may come good in the second half of the race, or the main pack may slow. So the games like these still can be anyone's race, but he does need to stay in touch with that lead pack of 5 competitors. There is a guide running with them. So the 10,000 metres continuing, 14 minutes 30 down on the clock. And the field really has split apart now. We have the Mexican runner, Luis Herrera, who's now well back on the field, but still is running very strongly. You can't underestimate the pace of these runners. Running just over the 3-minute K mark. But Brazil's Odair Santos is well in front of that little pack. You're watching coverage from the bird's nest of the track and field events at the Beijing 2008 Paralympic Games. Amy Bainbridge with you this evening. This is the men's 10,000 metres final, the T12, for athletes with a visual impairment. As we see guides assisting some athletes there. So these runners are expected to complete the distance in just over 30 minutes in total. So 16:03 gone on the clock at the moment, and that is Brazil's Odair Santos. He's been in the lead of this race for the last few kilometres and does not look as though he's tiring at all. Also in that lead pack is Tunisia's Abderrahim Zio, 23-year-old. And we're just having a change of guides there. I was just starting to think I wouldn't like to be a guide having to keep up with these blokes on the track. So we have a fresh guide running through, and the Odair Santos from Brazil is the leader of that small pack at the start, but we've got another pack of athletes coming through now. There's a Kenyan athlete, Francis Thuo Karanja. He's heading that second pack, so two distinct groups and a few other runners sitting well back in the field. But for now, Odair Santos is running so strongly at the front of this pack. Henry Kiprono Kirwa from Kenya is matching his stride. Elahi is also in that front pack. So 11 laps to go. This is the 5,600 metre mark. So they're over halfway now, these athletes. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Can't expect them to start lapping a little bit faster. We have a runner trying to make up some ground. That's Vedran Lozanov from Croatia. Just trailing the lead pack at this stage, but looks as though he's running strongly, and he may just catch and be able to hold on to the back of that pack as we head into the business end of this race. So Abderrahim Ziho from Tunisia is just sitting comfortably at the back. We also have Elahi from Iran in that pack. At the front is Odair Santos from Brazil and Henry Kiprono Kirwa from Kenya. And they're running with the Brazilian guide. That is the 6,000 metre mark. That last kilometre was 3 minutes 10.61 seconds. So Adair Santos, the man with the lead in this pack at the front of the race, he's gone into this with a season best time of 31 minutes 45.93 seconds. Don't have a season best for Kirwa, the Kenyan runner. I can tell you that the Tunisian runner had a season best of 32 minutes 16.40 seconds, so about half a minute just over behind the season best of Santos. So it'll be interesting to see whether Santos can power away from the rest of this field as we head into the business end of this race, or just how much power he's got left in those legs. So Santos still has been basically leading this race from about the 3 or 4 lap mark, running very strongly. So this is the men's 10,000 metres T12 event. It is the final. 16 runners started the final. A number have pulled out. Have another runner on our screen up the back there. Alex Mendoca from Brazil. I don't think he's been lapped. It looks as though he's running to catch that group. Further back we had the Croatian runner Vedran Lozanov, who looked as though he was threatening to catch the group and hold on, but now looks as though the pace was too great for him. And you can see the grimace on his face. He's not looking like he's enjoying it all that much at the moment. The Croatian runner on our screen there. So this front pack just sticking very closely together, shadowing each other at the moment, or shadowing rather the moves of Adair Santos, who's setting the pace. Henry Kiprono Kirwa, the Kenyan, sitting to the right. So there we have the rest of the field. Some runners looking as though they're doing it reasonably easily, others not faring so well. But these runners look as though they're very comfortable indeed. So that is the Brazilian runner, Adair Santos, giving a blistering performance, and that is disheartening for the runner that they're lapping at the moment. Number 1623, Ali Alahi. So it looks as though these runners really have put their foot on the accelerator and really started to step up their pace in the closing stages of this race. 8 laps to go, 7 laps to go rather, 7,200 metre mark. So Adair Santos really is looking as though he's the man to beat at this stage. Kenyan runner on our screen there, Francis Tuo Karanja. Alex Mendonça from Brazil, not able to keep pace with his teammates. Unfortunately, he's dropped well back in the field. But now we've got an interesting situation here. The lead pack has started to stretch out ever so slightly. So we have the Brazilian runner in the front, followed by the Kenyan. And the Tunisian runner sticking very close with them at the moment, so all of them in the hunt for a medal. But who wants it the most? That is the question. And welcome to our coverage, live from the Bird's Nest this evening. Another packed session of track and field here on Paralympic Sport TV. You're watching the final of the men's 10,000 metres T12 category. This is for athletes with visual impairment, and we are entering the business end of this race. We have the three runners on screen plus a guide. They're in the lead. Odair Santos from Brazil, as he rounds this bend. Now he's the man that's been leading basically since about lap 4. But sticking close by him, we have a Kenyan runner, and there's also a Tunisian runner as well, so all in the hunt for the medals at the moment. Kiprono Kirwa is the Kenyan runner who's shadowing every move that Santos makes at this stage. And Abdurrahim Zio from Tunisia, well, he's just bringing up behind in that pack at the moment. So the three runners and the guide sticking very closely at the moment, but it has been Odair Santos who's been staying at the front. So here's some brilliant cheers around the field. There are, of course, other finals progressing at the moment. We have the men's discus F37-38 category, which we'll bring you up to date with shortly. But for now, this is the business end of the men's 10,000 metres T12 final. The Brazilian runner, Odair Santos, staying in front. But I tell you what, it's the Kenyan runner that's been looking the real danger, Kirwa. He has literally been mirroring every move that Santos has made. And the Tunisian runner, Zio, in the red and white singlet there, you can see at the back of that lead pack. Well, he's also been running very comfortably. So I'll tell you what, if I was running in that front pack, I think I'd prefer to be behind, because you actually, when you're in front, can't see how the other runners are looking, what their stride's like, and just how much they've got left in the tank. So 4 laps to go, 8,400 metres down. And that is runner Elkin Cerna from Colombia. Just back on our screen there, but this is the lead pack at the moment. It looks as though Santos has just started to pick up the pace a little bit. And it will be a question of whether these other runners will make their move now or later. Santos picking up the pace. Only 4 or 5 minutes left to go in this race. You're watching our live coverage on Paralympic Sport TV with me, Amy Bainbridge, at the Bird's Nest this evening. The men's 10,000 metres T12 category for visually impaired runners. It's a pretty tough job the guide's got. We've already seen a switch in guides so they can keep pace with these men, because it is a fast pace they're setting. And Santos, of course, came into this event tonight with the season best time of 31 minutes 45.93 seconds, the 8,800 metre mark. Cerna, not that far behind them. He did manage to stay with the lead pack for a while, but he has dropped off the pace. It does look as though these runners are starting to turn their legs over faster, pick up the pace a bit. So there we have him, number 1184, Odair Santos from Brazil. Very efficient running style, looking completely comfortable. That last kilometre, 3 minutes 9.64 seconds. So very consistent running. There hasn't been a huge variation in the minutes per kilometre. They're just about to head past Brazil's Alex Mendonça. simply wasn't in the game tonight, but he may try and hold on to this pack to pick up his own pace. No, it looks as though he's fallen off. 2 laps to go. Mendonca has 3 left. But it looks as though the Kenyan has chosen to make his move now. So 2 laps to go. And Kirwa from Kenya has absolutely powered away from Santos, who's been leading the race since around about the 4th lap. So Henry Kiprono Kirwa. And hot on his tail is Abdurrahim Zio from Tunisia. But it looks as though Kirwa simply has more left in the tank. He really has steamed away from the other 2 that were dueling with him in that front pack. Almost looks as though he was just biding his time as he comes down the straight. Still one lap to run. Looking absolutely brilliant. The bell tolls. So Kirwa looking fantastic in the men's 10,000 metres T12 category. Bell also tolling there for Zio and Santos. So those 3 runners have stuck together for about the last 10 laps or more. But now it's Kirwa who's absolutely steamed away from his rivals. A 35-year-old looking extremely comfortable on his final lap. Very efficient running style. It looks as though he's almost barely raised a sweat this evening. So that is Henry Kiprono Kirwa. The crowd is going absolutely wild, but don't forget about this Tunisian who's still in the picture. And this is going to be a sensational finish. But no, it looks as though Kirwa is simply going to be too strong. They round right to the... Oh, he's just managed to hold on for the victory. So that was Henry Kiprono Kirwa. Who really did steam away. And here is Santos from Brazil, the leader for the majority of the race, but really did get dropped in the last 2 laps as the Kenyan runner pulled away, seemingly with plenty of energy. So 31:42.98 seconds. The Kenyan runner, what a brilliant effort. And doesn't really look tired. He's had a great race for gold. So some of these runners still have a few more laps to complete, but this looks as though it's Cerner finishing now. He had a good race. Managed to stick with the lead pack for around about 5 or 6 laps before he got dropped off, and then the margin was just continued to grow. So that's a Paralympic record, 31:42.98. The runner from Kenya, Kirwa, his teammate about to cross the line. So it started out as a field of 16, but quickly was whittled down because around about 3 or 4 runners pulled out very early in the race. They didn't look injured. It was unclear exactly what was going on. It's number 1772, Moises Baristian from Mexico, crosses the line. So these runners still having 1 lap to go. So that is the Croatian runner, Vedran Lozanov. And Alex Mendonca from Mexico, grimacing with pain as he crossed the line. So in the end it was the Kenyan runner who, well, after sticking very closely together, there was a pack of 5, then a pack of 4 runners, and then it came down to 3 who stuck very closely together around the 8,000 metre mark. But then the Kenyan, basically with the 2 lap mark to go, just steamed home. This is Ali Alahi from Iran. pushing through right to the finish line. Finishing in under 35 minutes. This is the Croatian runner, Vedran Lozanov. Doesn't look as though he's had the best day out. He looked as though he was in a fair bit of pain quite early in the race. Interesting to see what he has to say. The Croatian runner just crossing the line now.